Hi everyone, Serenity here.
So, the Destiny reveal trailer, or I guess VOD type thing stream, has released. And whew, it looked interesting. I will admit, I was intrigued. I am very excited to play this DLC. I think the PvP mode looks, well, the PvE mixed with PvP mode looks extremely interesting. I really like the idea of what look to be returning exotics with slight variations on style. I will say there is a lot of stuff there that I'm very disappointed is not happening straight away and is waiting till September, a bit like the quality of life improvements when it comes to engrams and shader being destroyed, etc. But there's one huge but over this whole thing, and it's not mine. It's the $69.99 price tag. That is the same price that I paid for the base game. Now, I understand. It's a big DLC. The thing is, there was one thing that made me feel really, really odd, and I'll get to that in a second. I will say, the Triumph things, all of that is something I've wanted, and everyone has wanted since year one of Destiny 1. So well done. That is an amazing thing for people like me who are sad and with no lives and we're collectors. Absolutely phenomenal to finally have that in the game. I've been wanting record books back as well for a long time, and we're getting one of them sooner than September. Thankfully, we're getting one as the end of year of Triumph. Now, where the 69 price tag really affected me, I guess, mentally, was when he said, we're bringing back bounties. Well, he didn't say that, he said, we're bringing in bounties. No, no, no. You're re-adding them. You're not adding bounties as a new thing. You're bringing them back. It was something you took out of the base game. And a lot of things that are being added into this thing are quality of life improvements that very well should have been in the base game, a bit like the Grimoire tab. When they said they were getting rid of Grimoire, people expected them to replace it with something, and they never did. They basically put in the collectibles, which were sort of scannables, but they never went to an archive. There was no way to recheck them if you wanted to listen to it again. You had to run to it and listen to it. So there was never any, I guess, visceral feedback that you had collected that thing. And this is where the huge price tag really affects me, I guess, because we are getting things in the game which look impressive. And when they had the big roadmap up there, it looked impressive, but then you realise that half of that roadmap has already been released. Half of that roadmap is already out there to be played. So the other half of the roadmap is the only thing left. Bungie have this way of showing things next to other things to make them seem more bombastic when they're actually not. And it's a huge problem. And I think that the way I would solve it personally is if you were a season pass holder for the original base game, you should get it for half price. And I know some people will say they can't do that. They can't. Yes, they can. In the end of the day, what they did was use us for money. They spat in the user base's face and used us for money. They thought, we'll take all of the content out and put it all behind microtransaction walls. These dullards are so stupid, they will pay for anything. And it backfired. But now what they're expecting is they're expecting the same level of money as they got before because their scam didn't work. No, that isn't how this works, and this shouldn't be how this works. We shouldn't let them get away with this. We shouldn't let them get away with this. There should be some form of compensation for the fans that pre-ordered a season pass, who were then not only let down, but really treated like garbage by everyone. It really is shocking that a company treated its fan base in such a way. And some people say, oh, you're so entitled saying this. No, I'm really not. In the end of the day, in any other form of medium, in any other form of anything, if you fuck up as badly as Bungie have, you normally have to do something to make up for it. And a lot of the time that is some form of compensation. And I'm not saying they need to fucking get on their knees and grovel. I'm not saying that. I would just really, really enjoy that. But what I'm saying is there needs to be something for the people who pre-ordered a game under the guidelines that it was going to be a sequel, not some rehashed mistake that the first game was. It basically was just Destiny 1 with less content than the original Destiny 1. Like, The raid layers, while a cool idea, was executed so fucking poorly, I just can't even fathom how that happened. I really can't fathom how it happened. You would get better results by playing something just randomly from the Unreal 4 engine when it comes to actually rewarding feeling of gameplay, because Bungie's system is just so crap. They can't get things in fast enough. You see games like Fortnite, which is something that's made for free on the Unreal Engine, and they can get updates out pretty fast because their engine's fast. Bungie can't do that, so they dug themselves into a hole, the same content hole that they got stuck in Year 1, Destiny 1, and they wanted us to pay the price for it. And that is what they've been doing. They have been shoveling the cost and shoveling the problems that the company is having onto the consumer. That is never the way it should work. They made a lot of money, and they added microtransactions to help create free updates to keep the game alive in between big updates. But now what they wanted is to do half the work, add double the amount of microtransactions with double the amount of DLC, and get all of the money with no extra effort. And what did that... well, not only no extra effort, but actually less effort. And what did it result in? It resulted in a mess. It resulted in your fanbase being adamantly angry constantly at you. It resulted with people literally having to quit the game as content creators because no one was watching their stuff anymore. And it is bad. And I think the one thing people need to do is not... I know all the content creators are going to come out and start saying, it looks good, it looks up, hopes, I don't want to be mad anymore. They're saying that because they don't want their income to be affected, and I understand that. But Bungie need to learn from this. If they, like EA, don't actually feel any full-on backlash with their next purchase or DLC, if they are acting like nothing happened and just selling it off at full price, no compensation, no nothing, what's going to happen if this happens again? They're going to do the exact same thing. There needs to be a consequence. And I know some people say, well, they lost 80% of their community. They don't fucking care. They already made the money. They already made the money of all the people that bought it. They don't give a shit that people quit. They only give a shit that people aren't coming back. They don't care that people stop playing. They don't care that the game's fucking an enjoyable mess. They only cared that people weren't going to be buying the next DLC, which is this one, because Curse of Osiris and Warminds had already been paid for in, like, probably over 50% of the community. So they already had the money in pocket, so they stopped giving a shit about us. People like Deej don't care about us. They say they do, they act all friendly and kind. He doesn't give a shit. As long as he's lining his pockets, he doesn't care. None of them do. And this is the problem. Bungie are going to get away with effectively scamming their audience and treating their audience like utter garbage, because everyone's going to completely jump on this without questioning it or saying, this is wrong. This should not be a fucking £70 DLC. I should not be paying the same amount of money again to buy, effectively, the complete game. That is just ludicrous. That is absolutely fucking ludicrous. We paid... I think I paid for the deluxe edition, so it was £79.99. That's £80. I'm paying another £70 if I want to get this DLC. That is just an absurd amount of money. That is an absolutely absurd amount of money. That is £130. No, £140, sorry. No, £150. Fuck, my head is like on backwards. Sorry, I haven't slept in like 2 days. I'm on new pills, and they make me a bit... I just can't fathom this. I wanted to get this out on the release day because I feel like this is something that's really important that people aren't talking about. And I have another video on Escalation Protocol that I actually think I might upload before this, but they'll probably go out on the same day. It's crazy. It really is crazy to me that this is not being talked about in this sort of way. That yes, it looks fantastic, it does. I can't wait to play it. But at the same time, this is what the game should have looked like from the fucking beginning. Not now. Not a year on. None of this shit we should be paying for. But, like, I think this is the thing. We should be paying £40 for it, like we did with The Taken King. The reason being is I know they'll say the DLC is £40 and then the season pass is an extra 10, 20 for the I can't remember what it's called, the annual pass, whatever. That's bullshit. The annual pass should be with the Taken King style of DLC. It should be £40. That extra stuff should be some form of compensation, or if you owned the original season pass, you should get the annual pass for free. The DLC should be £40. I agree with that. DLC of that size should be £40, definitely. £70 with the annual thing. No way. That's just way too much. It's a phenomenal amount of money for what is effectively a fixed game at that point. I think people need to actually stand up and talk about this a little more. I just can't. They want their cake and they want to eat it and then they want another cake. They literally were making loads of money. They thought we can make more money for less effort. That backfired, and now they just want to say, well, actually, can we just go back to making lots of money and forget this all happened? That just, it's wrong. It just really is wrong to me. And if I had done something that fucked to my community, if I had opened up a Patreon, let's say, and I promised a personal thank you every week or something like that, and for 5 weeks I didn't do it, and people started unfollowing my Patreon, would I say, well, you greedy cunts, just because I was ill or something? No, I shouldn't make a promise that I can't keep. And that's another thing I'm really worried about with this DLC, is a lot of what Bungie tend to do is make these bombastic statements and these really bombastic ideas, I guess, and they overhype them. Like the DLC Curse of Osiris, the public event, the most rewarding event so far. It's fucking 2 blues and a token from both chests. There was nothing different about it. It was just a slightly longer public event that you got garbage from. Escalation Protocol, meant for a 3-man fire team. Fuck off, is it? Fuck off, is that meant for a 3-man fucking fire team? If that's meant for a 3-man fire team, then I'm the fucking Queen of England. It is not meant for a 3-man fire team. They lie about a lot of things to try and either stretch out their content or make it seem very, very bombastic. And when I say lie, I don't mean like over the top hyperbolic time chamber. Hyperbolic, that's not the right thing. Like bombastic trailers. I don't mind pre-rendered trailers. I don't mind all these really cool things like the Annabray trailer. It was all fucking awesome. But yes, some people say that's lying, but it's not. It's just in-universe cutscenes. The difference is when you say something like the most rewarding event ever, and by that, technically it is. It's 100% improved because you get 2 chests, but they give the exact same garbage, so, you know, yeah. As always, this is a conversation, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this in some way, and leave your comment down below on what you think about all this DLC. Peace out, guys, and as always, have a good one.